Great news. There's a quick way you can save money. Switch to Geico. Geico could help you get great coverage at a great price. And it only takes 15 minutes to see if you could save 15% or more on car insurance. Go to geico.com today and see how much you could save.
Woody Page, Clinton Yates, Frank Isola. Today, the catch rule versus pass interference. Lintz versus Bartolo. And half court to beat UNC, or half court to win 12 medium-sized pizzas. Who you got?
And buffalo chicken. Not bad.
It's Around the Horn, the show of competitive banter. Here's Tony Reali.
The biggest problem I see with the NFL changing the catch rule is going to be what to call it. You can call it the Calvin rule. You can call it the Dez rule. You can call it the Jesse James rule. You can call it the Zach Ertz rule. Potential NFL rule changes on the table right now are making these catches, making that pass interference just a 15-yard penalty, ejecting players for targeting receivers, and clamping down on illegal contact. We're going to start with the catch here. Ramona Shelburne first up. Are you confident the NFL is going to make this better and change the rule?
No. I wish I was. I don't know why it's taken so long to get here in the first place. We've been having, how many times have we done segments talking about that's a catch? It looks like a catch, smells like a catch, acts like a catch, and yet they say it's not a catch. The only one they got right was in the Super Bowl with Zach Ertz, and I don't know, that seems to be the impetus for bringing this back up. But all they need to do is go back to the most simple version of the rule, which is what it was until like 1982, which was you just make a once you catch the ball. The play is over after you make a move that's common to football, right? You're treated like a running back if you're a receiver, right? Once you catch the ball, take a couple steps to become a runner, and then you become under the same rules. Right now, you have to, quote, survive the ground. I don't know what that means, and I don't think any more precise language is going to do that. I hope they keep it simple. That's all I can say.
Woody, speaking of keeping it simple, please go ahead.
Yes, I agree with what a lot of what Ramona says in regard to, am I confident? Too strong a word. Hopeful would be a better one. And I do think they've got to go back to doing something common to the game and treating wide receivers like running backs and simplifying it. You don't add to it. You don't subtract from it. That's what Goodell said, and I agree with him. You just make it a simple sort of rule. If you go out of bounds, the play's over. If you go over the goal, you scored a touchdown. Whatever happens after that doesn't matter. If you catch the ball, running back, when he goes through the line and he hits the ground and they fumble, they say, ground can't cause a fumble. That's the way it should be with wide receivers.
All right.
I am really hopeful they do get this right.
Embracing this simplicity. Is it even possible, Clinton Yates?
Yeah, it is. And what I like the most about this rule is the fact that they admitted that the Dez Bryant situation was a catch. And what it does is that it allows for common sense. I know when I watch football and I see something that's happening, I look at it and I say, looks like a catch to me. I think that's what this rule interpretation is really about. The refs can simply peep it and say, hey, that's what it looks like to me, and that's what I'm going to call it. You don't have to get into the nitty-gritty, of all these rules.
And speaking of nitty-gritty, Frank Isola.
Yeah, I'm sure when Dez Bryant found out today, I'm sure it made his day knowing that, yeah, he caught the ball. It cost him a game. Jesse James, that cost Pittsburgh a game. And by the way, home field advantage. But you know what it's not going to eliminate? It's not going to eliminate replays, which is the biggest issue. Because now you're going to have a guy catch the ball for like a split second, get hit, drop it, and guess what? That should be a fumble. So now you're going to have teams complaining, no, he didn't catch the ball. That's incomplete pass, not a fumble. That's the issue with it. We know that those are catches. Calvin Johnson was a catch. Dez Bryant was a catch. It's not going to stop the replays, unfortunately.
Pass interference. Let's talk about that. Same question. Would a 15-yard penalty make things better than a spot foul, Woody Page?
No, not at all. And they're never going to change that rule despite their discussion about it, because they realize that cornerbacks and safeties are smart enough that if you're getting beat on a 35-yard pass, you're just going to pull the guy down. I mean, I don't understand really why college coaches don't coach that more often to their players, or maybe they just don't react the same way. But I know a guy like Aqib Talib, he would be happy to give somebody 3 consecutive 15-yard penalties rather than a 60-yard touchdown pass.
Lynn Yates?
Yeah, but I mean, the reason you don't see it in college is because that's not a natural thing to do, I believe, when you're playing defense. I like this a lot. Games swing so much when you see these huge PI calls, and it's so deflating as a fan when you're watching that, and you're thinking, looks like it's just going to throw it down the field, get the flag, and that's how they're going to advance. Yeah. I love this rule. I think it actually advances the game very well.
The all-pass interference offense is what my friend Jane Coaston calls that. Frank Isola, go ahead.
Yeah, fasten your seatbelts. I'm going to leave it up to the referee with what Woody's talking about. If it's clear that the guy could score a touchdown, but he's tackled before the pass gets there, you know what? It should be at the line of scrimmage. If it's about, catching a pass near the sideline and they tackle you, pass interference, that should be 15 yards. I would leave it up to the officials to do.
Here we're trying to make it more simple, and that doesn't sound simpler to me, Frank. Go ahead, Shelburne.
Leave more up to the officials too.
Ramona, would you change
this
rule?
I got so confused just with what you were explaining there. It's too much. Look, they don't need to change this at all. Keep it the way it is. Woody's right. Like you don't if you give people an opportunity to get away with a 40-yard pass interference thing, it's only going to be 15. Then you'd be stupid not to do it every single time. Like I don't know why they'd even consider this.
Let's move on, and here's something I guarantee you didn't know and you're not going to believe. The Big Ten tournament starts today, a week before every other conference, at Madison Square Garden, New York, New York. Greg Doyle, Indy Star. It's stupid, and everybody knows it. Frank, is it stupid, or can you see the sense in it?
Take it easy there, Greg. I know you live in Indianapolis, and you're working on behalf of the Indianapolis Chamber of Commerce. All those players are happy to be in New York.
Where's that coming from?
I like Greg. But hang on, the ACC tournament is going to be here next week as well, and the closest ACC school is Syracuse, about a 3-hour drive, or Maryland, about a 4-hour drive. You have Rutgers here. And I'll tell you what, for the Big Ten, for these teams that make the tournament, like Michigan State or Purdue, they're going to like the fact that they have all this time off before their first game. The coaches can get to practice. You can rest guys up. Because, all you millennials, it's all you ever talk about is resting players. Here's a built-in respite for all the teams.
That may be something. First of all, you got Maryland in the wrong conference again. ACC all these years. The big. Yeah, you only went there, so take a mute for that. Clinton Yates, the idea that the Big Ten is having MSG host their tournament a week earlier. Go ahead.
I don't hate it only because they admitted they made a mistake. As a one-off, it's a nice little idea. Last time I checked, New York City was still called the greatest city in the world. And you get a vacation there. You get all the teams there. The fans get to go see something different. Listen, I don't need to rag on Indianapolis for what it is and what it's not because I've never been and don't plan to go. But again, Madison Square Garden is a great facility. Madison Square Garden is one of the most historic, arenas in the world. Why would you not want to play a tournament there?
Woody Page, when you hear Big Ten tournament in New York City, what do you think?
I've got so many answers here, but let me address Clinton first of all. Notre Dame in Paris is a historic building. I don't want to play basketball there any more than Madison Square Garden. The Madison Square Garden should have been torn down years ago. But in regard to the logic of Frank, okay, let's play the SEC tournament in Dallas because Texas A&M is out there in Texas. Oh yeah, I want to go out there if I'm in the SEC. No. You play in Detroit, Chicago, Indianapolis, where the schools are. Just because Rutgers there, hey, Rutgers, you can get on a bus and come out to the Midwest where the rest of the schools are. And secondly, the Big Ten commissioner says, I want the players and the fans to go to New York City. Well, why don't they go play St. John's or one of those goofy schools there once a year and they'd get their trip or take a class trip to New York City and hang out at Times Square? No, this is a bad idea.
Ramona Shelburne.
Oh my God, Frank, Clinton, you guys sound, what you sound like? Coastal elites. Okay, like if you want to go to New York, take a vacation there. Like the part of the whole point of having a conference tournament is having it near the schools in the actual conference. Like I understand it's a nice idea to go to the big city. We can do that in November or December when they have tournaments. Like I'm gonna stick up for the Indianapolis columnist. I know Greg too, and he's doing what that's the column you're supposed to write when you're in Indianapolis, right? That's the Indy Star League columnist. He's supposed to write that column. But in this case, I really think he's right. What are they doing?
Isn't it great to write for that paper and you can call yourself a star columnist every time? Isola, you want to respond? Please go ahead.
I mean, come on. First of all, Ramona's on the other coast, which is elitist as well. The players, if you ask them, and everybody cares about the players, they should be paid, there should be this. Ask all the players where they want to play their conference tournament.
Okay, well, you know what?
Be right here.
Listen to.
Come on.
And I also hear what you were saying before. Playing a week early maybe has a benefit. Maybe, if you get eliminated early, maybe you could schedule a game in between. Does anybody think playing a week early, a conference tournament a week early, has some pros or some cons? Go ahead, Clinton.
Absolutely. I think you get that rest. I think it's going to be good for Big Ten teams when it comes to the NCAA tournament. But I just want to state my position on this. I don't love neutral site conference tournaments anyway. I love the idea of home court advantage for the teams that win the regular season. I'm big time old school on that.
I love how none of us brought up that you can actually do some schoolwork in that week off in between. No one's going there.
Yeah, another advantage. Spring break.
We'll move on. Headline 3, Major League Baseball Players Association's grievance
What are you talking about?
teams for not spending money. Rays, Pirates, A's, and Marlins named here. Revenue sharing recipients not active this winter, even more so selling off. Here's what the Pirates called it. Patently baseless, which could be their offense this season. Clinton, do the players have beef here?
Absolutely, they have beef, although I'm not exactly sure what filing a grievance does other than say officially, we have a problem with this. I don't know how MLB is going to react to this. What MLB needs is a salary floor to make sure that teams are at the very minimum spending on their rosters. The Pirates are being completely disingenuous with this, acting as if they have no idea what's going on. This is how they've operated for the greater part of my adult life. What are we talking about here? You just got rid of McCutchen. We all know what's going on here. I can't stand it when teams and leagues insult our intelligence over things that are obvious for fans to see. It's so clear that that's what teams are doing. They're tanking, and it makes for worse baseball.
Isola?
Clinton Yates, put your scorecard down. It's called rebuilding. You can't celebrate the Houston Astros for what they did, breaking the whole thing down to the ground, building it all the way back up, winning a World Series. Derek Jeter, it's his first year in Miami. He's supposed to now start throwing crazy money like a drunken sailor at free agents. And Pittsburgh tried it with McCutchen. It's not working. Their payroll's at $75 million. And with Tampa and Oakland, their stadiums stink. They can't generate revenue. That's the problem.
I think one of our panelists in Denver takes umbrage with drunken sailor reference there from Isola. Go ahead, Ramona Shelburne.
Look, this is all about bringing the teams into court and making them declare themselves, coming up with data, showing what they're really doing. Like, this isn't going to have any effect on anything. I don't think they're going to fine the teams. Nothing's going to come of this. But they do have to go into court. They do have to produce data. They do have to show what they're doing. And nobody wants to put their books out in the open like that.
And Woody Page.
I want to agree with Clinton here. In fact, this morning, Clinton, I was talking to a group of people, and I used that exact term, a salary floor.
The novel concept of a salary cap.
And the point is, for people who don't know, he stole that line from my conference call.
All right, please, Woody Page, wait a second. You did not invent the idea of floors, salary floors. The floor is your ceiling right now, Woody Page, for airing dirty laundry.
Maryland should be in the ACC. I should get points for that.
You're getting him good, too. We're taking a break right here. Shelburne and Yates might as well just walk into the showdown. We'll see you in 2 minutes with By Yourself.
Hey there, I'm a glue stick, so I have one job. I glue kid stuff. So sorry for being jealous of Geico, who does a ton more, like give you 24/7 access to thousands of licensed agents. And Geico has been around for over 75 years and has a 97% customer satisfaction rating. While I've just got mediocre adhesive skills, Geico also has an award-winning mobile app. Uh-oh, arts and crafts time. No eating the glue stick. Miss Lydia!
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Buy or sell.
3 incredible finishes for South Florida teams last
Get overtime, Jared McCann. 7 seconds left, forces one up and scores.
Miami beat UNC like Villanova beat UNC, which is great. Except you don't get a national title when you do it in February. Panthers are on a tear. Playoff push. Overtime win over Toronto. The best, though, was Dwayne Wade wearing Parkland victim Joaquin Oliver's name on his shoes after having dedicated his season to him. And they beat the Sixers. Goosebumps for that Wade finish, right, Momo?
Yeah, I mean, this is what Dwayne Wade was brought to Miami to do, as well as probably close out his career. I mean, he gave an interview with the Miami Herald saying he's not sure he's going to play next year, and if he plays anywhere, it'll be in Miami. I mean, this is what they were hoping for from him, and he delivered on a big night.
Woody?
His transition back to Miami didn't go so smoothly. He missed a couple of game-winning shots earlier, but the teammates said his demeanor and his determination changed dramatically in practice after he heard about young Mr. Oliver, and it carried over to the game last night, and I think it's going to help him the rest of the season in terms of motivation.
Glenn Yates?
I was very hard on Dwayne Wade coming out of Cleveland because I felt like he didn't seem motivated enough to play in the NBA anymore. Last night, what he did was the old Wade. I love seeing him excited in that Miami Heat uniform. It's a good thing for the league overall, and I'm happy for him.
Frank Isola.
And this moment was set up by the fact that they fouled Ben Simmons in a tie game with 24 seconds ago. They only made one free throw, so in a lot of ways, the strategy backfired until Dwayne Wade, the most beloved sports figure in South Florida history, made that shot. And let's face it, that could be his last great moment with the Miami Heat.
Another great moment, though, from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, which needs it. Hockey team won big title this week as well from the high school. We'll move on. Buy or sell two.
And I'm trying to throw the game back to 1998. So I'm not going to rely on GPSs and all the modern technology. I will certainly have some people that are professional that can help me from that regard. But I still think doing things the old-fashioned way is a good way.
Woody, you've been waiting for this buy or sell your whole life. Buy or sell going back to 1998.
I wish I could and be better than I was the first time around. But in regard to, we've seen historically that coaches who step away from the game for years come back and have good success. We have seen that in the past. I think that he's kind of putting himself down. He's going to use everything available to him, and I think he'll be a good coach again in this league.
Glenn Yates?
First of all, it's ways Gruden step into 2018. But secondarily, I'm a little bit confused. When he would interview college quarterbacks, all he would do was throw all sorts of terms at him and act like he was going to confuse them with how complicated the NFL was. Now he's trying to go back to something more simplistic. Which one is it? I don't understand.
Isola?
You mean back to 1998 where they didn't have concussion protocol? I don't think that's such a good idea. You know, all these, baseball managers, basketball coaches, football coaches, all the old school guys, they've been really slow to embrace analytics. There has to be a happy medium between the two because they look at it like these nerds in some office are not going to tell me how to run my team.
Look, this feels like marketing, man. This is all on brand for Chucky. This is back to the Raiders and Al Davis. I mean, I think he even invoked him during the press conference, but I don't know if you want to take on the nerds right now. The most analytics-based team in the league just won the Super Bowl.
Precisely. Real quick, though, Woody, you said the guys who've taken years off and come back as coaches have had success. Are we going to say Ditka had success when he came back with the Saints? Are we going to say Gibbs had success round 2 with Washington?
Okay. Made the playoffs.
Got to the playoffs.
Okay. Vermeil, I think, is the one you're counting on, right? Coming back after the Philadelphia to win the Super Bowl with the Rams. We'll move on. Buy or sell 3.
Parcells.
United States led 2026 World Cup bid in jeopardy to Morocco's Sam Borden, ESPN writes. A confluence of events and circumstances in recent months, some related to football, others having little to do with it. What to buy, what to sell, Clinton?
I'm buying every single part of the fact that the United States does not deserve this bid. When you've got a commander-in-chief that is calling other nations bleep holes, those nations, by the by, are the ones that are voting against him. It's simply not good international diplomacy. Their focus needs to be on getting the team better, not worrying about whether or not they can host tournaments.
Frank Isola?
And, of course, the host nation automatically qualifies, which is something we didn't do. But I think this is about FIFA. A bunch of, old snobs. They do not look at the U.S. as a soccer nation. They think of us as NFL, football, basketball, and baseball.
Yeah, I guess we want to be looked at as a football nation, not a soccer nation. Go ahead, Shelburne.
Well, most of our support for the 2026 bid is actually coming from North America and Europe, so I think that's mostly where the old snobs are. What's actually hurting us in this bid is Africa and Asia, which, as Clinton pointed out, is who have been insulted by this country in the last couple of months.
Woody Page.
Viewers, you're about to see the most miraculous comeback in ATH history. I am buying that. Listen carefully. I'm buying this because it is Canada and Mexico and the United States getting together, and I think the reason why there's been some pushback is because of the FIFA investigation of 2 or 3 years ago that ousted the president. As a result of that, there's still a lot of countries bitter because the United States initiated that. Thank you.
All right.
You tied me.
Hey!
Look at this. All right, it stops right there. Woody Page, take a bolt right here, though. Got your point of the game up, which is good. Isola as well. Bolts, Shelburne. Shelburne Yates, good luck in showdown. Tim Lincecum is jacked, and he's trying a comeback. He was signed by the Texas Rangers. Bartolo Colon, not as jacked. Trying to stay in the majors, non-rostered invitee for the Texas Rangers. Who you got, Ramona? Opening day.
I would love it to be Bartolo Colon, but I actually think it's going to be Tim Lincecum. He threw a bullpen session and he was averaging between 90 and 92 miles an hour. His last year in the majors with the Angels, he was throwing about 87. So if he's up in 90, 92,
the reason why he's averaging such high velocity is because he works with my boys out at Driveline Baseball. If you don't pay attention to them, data-driven analytics, they are at the peak of the game when it comes to getting guys good. Love those guys out there in Washington State.
That was a lot of information that sounded like a commercial.
It kind of did.
Driveline Baseball.
But it may be true. We're splitting the point. We're moving on. Showdown 2. A half-court shot. I saw this on SVP last night. He asked if he wanted free tuition or a new car or 12 medium pizzas, if you could tell by his reaction. The answer, of course, was 12 medium pizzas, which has now been up to 1 large pizza and 10 wings every month for a year. Clinton, did the payout fit the feat? And did the reaction fit the payout?
First of all, that react was gold, so big shout out to him. And on college campuses, pizzas are big-time currency. But the moment here was hitting the shot in front of all of his friends.
Exactly.
That was the cool part. He got it. It's done.
I mean, have you not seen how I react every time I win the showdown? Like, every time I win the showdown, I do a dance all around the whole studio. Like, spike my pen, throw my drink. Come on. That's how you react. You're excited.
Well, let's see it right now, Ramona. You got to give it to us right before I give you the win.
Like a little Cabbage Patch? Would that do it?
No, that's definitely, never do that again. Clinton Yates, you're getting the FaceTime, man.
It's 2018 and spring training is in full swing, and it is the most important season in the history of the Washington Nationals. They brought in Dave Martinez, who's so apparently messed up in the head about what's going on in the playoffs. He brought camels to the facility, which is a whole other deal in order to get over the hump. On top of that, the All-Star game comes here this season. Bryce Harper's contract situation is up in the air. I am really worried about what Nats fan is going to be like if it doesn't go well this season, but I'm rooting for him. Shout out to Rufus, by the way.
Hump day! Come on, who doesn't love camels? I like that.
Mike.
Were they dromedaries or a back tree? 2 humps or 1 hump?
Frank.
That's what I need to know. We're back tomorrow. See you then.